Hello. Welcome to another episode of PHP Explained. Today we are creating a learning roadmap to be a successful PHP developer. We are dividing the journey into 3 sections: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Learners are having an organized schedule of PHP topics. We give a guarantee that one can be a successful PHP developer after following our guide. Let's begin. You need 6 months to be a successful PHP developer. Months are further divided into weeks and scheduled the topics per week. Then start your PHP career. There are a few prerequisites before start working on PHP. We need softwares that can help us to run PHP code in our local machine. Also, we need an editor where we can write the code. Finally, the browser where we can see the output. Here is our recommendations. 1. PHP software, WAMP is our recommendations. Alternatively, we can use XAMPP also. Both are easy to install and use. 2. Code editor, Microsoft Visual Studio Code is the recommended one. Alternatively, we can use Sublime Text, Atom, or Bracket. 3. Browser, Google Chrome is recommended from us. Alternatively, we can use Mozilla Firefox or Microsoft Edge. Now, we can start our journey to be a successful PHP developer. First, we need to understand how internet works. Also, how websites are functioning in this internet world. Once this understanding completed, we need to find out how browser requests and responses are working. These concepts clear the basic doubts of server programming. We have to know how PHP code can be written. For that, we need to know how a PHP variable can be defined and used, and what are the different types of variables available. These are the absolute basics on which the rest of the PHP is based. We will have to be clear about the strings and the different inbuilt functions of strings. Please practice with these functions and understand how these functions are working. A very significant concept of any type of programming and of course in PHP is the array. Please spend more time and understand how it is declared, holding the data, and its usage. There are many inbuilt array functions available. Please go through with these and practice. Go through the internet and find the top inbuilt array functions and make sure you understand and use these functions independently. If needed, then use pen and paper to clear the concepts. The time is to be spent on another important concept called conditionals. Here we are learning how to break the code based on different conditions. Please tally the concepts with practical examples and grab the concepts. We are facing situations in our daily life that can be broken up into different sections based on conditions. Try to put these examples into the coding for understanding and clarify the concepts. There are 3 different types of conditionals such as if, else if, and else. Please make sure that you understand all these and can write independently. Both arrays and conditionals are significant pillars in programming. In week 3, there is another important part of programming called loops or iterations. There are 3 types of loops such as while, do while, and for. Again, make sure that you understand all these clearly and can write independently. We are in a position to write our own functions. In week 1, we have seen inbuilt functions for string, and in week 2, we have seen the inbuilt array functions. Now, we have created our own functions. These are very important in programming and it covers all the previous concepts from variable declarations to conditionals, loops, and arrays. So, we are getting a chance to go through the previous topics also. Date plays a significant role in programming. Getting the current date, time, weekday, compare the 2 dates and find the difference in hour, minute, second, etc. are all coming into this scope. So, we have to have a deep and clear understanding on date in PHP. Again, we have to prepare ourselves in such a way so that we can be confident to calculate the date-related issue independently. A very close concept to date is the Unix timestamp. Take pen and paper and clear the concept. Please don't forget to spend some good time and practice as much as you can. Files are another important player in programming. PHP has a clear and simple way to create and use the file system. It is not at all complicated. Understanding the behavior of writing and appending the contents to files is important. Also, understanding how to read the contents using the loop is also important. That's all to do with files. Learn and practice with a few examples. Session plays a vital role in server programming including PHP. We have to understand what is session, how to define session, how to create session variables and assign values into these, how to edit the existing values, how to read the values from session, and finally, how to delete the session variables and how to destroy the session. We need to know the same topics for cookie also. We will be using the PHP super global variables $_session and $_cookie. Please make sure you can handle the session and cookie independently. We have to clear the concepts and then we can use it properly. When we are programming, we may need to take user inputs and save these information into a storage place which is called the database. PHP is comfortable with MySQL. Both WAMP and XAMPP are come with MySQL as the database. We can use the phpMyAdmin to deal with the MySQL. The phpMyAdmin is an interface which is helping to add, edit, delete, and view the data stored in the MySQL database. We need to know how to store the data into the database. This week you have to dedicate to the database, more specifically MySQL. In this occasion, we need to use the PHP's super global variables. These 9 variables are pre-built with PHP and handle different tasks in different situations. We have to use super global variables $_get or $_post to get the user inputs. We always recommend to use $_post as this adds a layer of security. We recommend to proceed like this. Use the normal MySQL inbuilt functions to communicate with the database. Then use the PDO or PHP data object to use the database, which is the modern approach. In both the cases, write the programming in your own hands after clearing the understanding. Then we have to create, read, update, and delete records, in short it is called CRUD. Also, we need to sanitize the input values before use it further. PHP's inbuilt sanitization functions are helping to filter the inputs data from any sort of garbage. Also, we need to have firm understandings of errors and exceptions. Please concentrate and try a few examples and make sure that you can use it without any help. Once done, you are ready to handle a project independently. We are recommending now to study a few things on front-end development. The term front-end indicates the interfaces through which we are getting user inputs, edit the existing data, delete the records, and display the records. The users who are sitting in front of the computer, see the forms and entering the data using keyboard, who do not aware about how this form works and PHP handle the data that they are adding. Hence the term front-end evolves. These interfaces plays vital role to attract the viewers to our software or web applications. When people find the front-end interfaces look so good and eye-catching, then approach to check the functionalities or workings of the software which is written in PHP. To foolproof yourself as a developer, it is advisable to know the front-end also along with the back-end PHP. The first milestone for front-end is always the HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. HTML helps to structure the web page. The name indicates it as a language, but please make sure that it is not a traditional language such as C, Java, or PHP. But it is a markup language which is used to develop the front-end interface and not following the traditional coding constructs such as variable, conditionals, loops, etc. Basically, it is much easier to learn and understand. Once you have completed the back-end PHP, it will be much easier to learn HTML. Once we are able to organize the web page using HTML, it is time to add color and design to it. CSS plays the role to do it. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. Please carefully check the name once again. The term cascading means small waterfall. What is the importance of a waterfall? A waterfall falls from the top and touches every corner until it hits the bottom. For this, when a CSS style is defined for a specific HTML element such as a paragraph, that CSS style touches each paragraph HTML element on the page from top to bottom. Hence it is called Cascading Style Sheet. These can be defined in 3 different places on a web page: external, internal, and inline. Please go through and understand how to create and use the CSS. Optionally, you can update the Bootstrap, a mobile responsive CSS framework. It is super easy to understand and implement. Please refer to the documentation of Bootstrap, which is very much user-friendly. This can make your CSS works much simpler and you can save lots of development time. Don't forget to practice massively. These two things are the main pillars of any type of front-end development, does not matter what programming language you are using on the back end. We need to study a few more subjects which are associated with the front end, as like HTML and CSS. First of all, we have to learn JavaScript, the must-to-know subject with web application development. Refer back to week 7 where we used PHP's sanitization process to filter the data from any garbage. Exactly like this, we can do the same thing with JavaScript. As PHP is called server-side or back-end programming language, the JavaScript is called the client-side or front-end programming language. It is a traditional programming language with all the features such as variable declarations, conditionals, loops, arrays, and others. An alternative to JavaScript is jQuery. jQuery is much easier to use. It is a library that we need to add before use. jQuery minimizes the number of lines of code than JavaScript. Also, it can many things much easier ways such as event handling, error handling, and others. AJAX is a technology that can be used with jQuery easily. In general, when users add the input data in a form, that need to be collected by the PHP in the backend. If the PHP's sanitization process finds garbage then rejects the data. This refreshed the entire web page and we lost the data. The user has to add the data once again. AJAX is the savior in this case. If we send the data to the PHP using AJAX, PHP finds the garbage and rejects the data, the web page does not refresh. AJAX is very popular among the developer as it is easy to use and simple to execute. At this stage, we are in a proficient post-ion to start a project from scratch and can handle it independently. We know how to build front-end pages, accepting and sanitize the user inputs, save the data to the database. Create a small project and complete it. As for example, student book. The modules are login, add student details, edit student details, display student info, and delete student from the list. Don't hesitate to take help from different tutorials, documentations, forums, friends, and PHP Explained. You can ask your questions at the comments section and we will reply. Dedicate weeks 11 and 12 for object-oriented programming in Composer. Here is the to-do list for OOP in PHP. First, you have to understand the core concepts of OOP. There are 4 concepts known as the 4 pillars of OOP and these are encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, and polymorphism. Please put ample time and don't leave until you clear these concepts. Now, come to the practical field. Write your own class, add properties to it, and methods. While creating your class you have to understand the relationship between properties and methods and how they work with each other. Also, make a clear distinction between class and object. The foremost topics to be completed are constants, magic methods, namespace, and traits. Please go through the current version of PHP of your time and check the new features. Go through and practice. Composer is a part of daily PHP now. Please go through the Composer and check how it is working. It is a tool that helps the developer by managing the dependent files and saves a lot of time. Composer's auto-load option to manage all these for us. Complete a PHP project from scratch using OOP. You can rebuild the previous project or try a completely new project. Once you have done this you will become a master in OOP of PHP. Now, you can proceed to the advanced topics. At this stage, you are absolutely friendly to understand new subjects on PHP and feel comfortable writing code. You have to study the famous PHP open sources written in PHP and become handy with top PHP frameworks. For PHP open sources we recommend WordPress and OpenCart. WordPress is the most popular for blogs and CMS development. Also, you can develop any type of application including a restaurant, hotel, service-related apps, support apps, personal portfolios, different training centers, travel and tourism, automobile, and almost all others. OpenCart is an open source written in PHP which is high in demand to develop shopping carts and e-commerce. Any sort of e-commerce related application can be developed using it. We strongly suggest going through the code and trying to understand it. Take the help of tutorials, forums, and other means. We have recommended these PHP frameworks, CodeIgniter, Laravel, and Symfony. These are all free and come with documentation that is simple to understand and practice. You can understand the concepts of MVC or Model View Controller design patterns and related things. These are the assets in today's web world. API or Application Programming Interface is the backbone of today's web world. You have to study it and implement it. Go through the online tutorials and understand the API and how it works. Then implement it in your coding. Finally, create your own API based on a niche. You have already understood different open sources and frameworks. Now, try to create your own framework which will be based on MVC. Try to make a simple one that can work for any type of application. Add multiple language features, admin panel, SEO compatibility, and other popular ones. Try to be master on one of the JavaScript libraries such as React and Vue. These are helping to create user interfaces using JavaScript. It will be a good choice to update the Angular also, which is a JavaScript framework. Take a version control system such as Git and use the repository such as GitHub to maintain your application's versions. Use Docker to build and share the application. Be knowledgeable with Linux administration and keep maintaining your own server. Hopefully, you have got a full-stack PHP developer guide in this video. Are you missing anything? How do you like this video? Do you have suggestions? Write it in the comment below. Please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon with another video on PHP Explained.